Då ska vi se. Hej Queen. Hej Madde. Välkomna in. Välkomna tillbaka om ni var här för en stund sedan. Jag var ju live innan när jag var ute och promenerade med Bell. Men jag sa ju det, jag skulle öppna live för att vi skulle lyssna på fortsättningen på Clancys rättegång. Vi ska ju höra hennes mamma och hennes syster, tänkte jag. Lovade det i liven innan. Hej Byhålan, välkommen. Vi lyssnade ju på en liten bit igår ju när han här, vad hette han nu, Wi-Fi någonting. Hade tagit ut data från Lindcays mobiltelefon och Apple Watchen. Igår var ju dag 14 och det är den vi ska fortsätta att lyssna på från igår. Idag är ju rättegångsdag nummer 15. Men dagens förhandlingar startar inte förrän klockan 3. Men jag sa ju det i liven innan att vi skulle lyssna på det. Så nu är jag hemma igen. Så ni får jättegärna lov att hjälpa mig att likea liven och dela liven. Det var länge sedan jag såg det, Byhålan. Allt bra? Tänkte att jag ska, för er som inte har hängt med i rättegången, eller vad rättegången handlar om, så har faktiskt Swexpose lagt upp en jättebra video. Så jag tänkte jag ska spela den för er. Hej Ronja! Det var länge sedan jag såg dig också. Hej Robson, hej Emmy. Hej Astor. Så vi ska... Jag köpte en ny iPad. Så vi ser kanske blir bättre med den här än den gamla iPaden. Ja, det är en sån Samsung. Hej Leona. Hej Anna, välkommen. Välkommen mitt lilla hjärta. Vi ska fortsätta lyssna på Clancys rättegång. Du var inte inne i min live innan Anna, men jag sa det att när jag kommer tillbaka hem från Larus så startar jag igen. Så vi kan se mamman och systerns vittnesförhör från igår. Sen så Sen fortsätter ju rättegången idag. Idag är det ju dag 15, men vi ska köra från igår, alltså rättegångsdag 14. Jag såg det för en gång skulle så det igår, men lyssna gärna. Ja, jag har varit live nu i morse också när jag var ute och promenerade med Bell. Välkommen tillbaka Lisen. Här gör vi reklam för Swexpose. In och följ Swexpose. Kan ni jättegärna hjälpa mig att likea liven. Jag kommer ju bli... jag kommer inte komma ut på For You. För så fort jag visar en annan skärm så stänger ju TikTok ner mig. Queen Swee. Ska vi se. Ska vi dela också kanske till Swexpose som vet att jag är live. Vad har vi för människor här? Svej. Kaktus och Paris ville väl också titta. Och loading kanske. Ja, vi delar till några här. Knäckehäxan vet jag tittar också på rättegången. Ja, det är ju inte säkert alla kan. Ska vi dela till Sandris också? Ja, det får bli dem. Så, skicka. Jag har läst på om saker nu. Ja, men jättebra Leona, för det är så här, det blir ju om man inte vet någonting om det och så hej Erika, hur är det med dig? Det var länge sedan, eller inte länge sedan jag såg dig häromdagen, men det var länge sedan jag såg dig i min live i alla fall. Hoppas allt bra med dig gumman. Nej men alltså nu är vi ju liksom på dag 14, det har hänt väldigt mycket, det har varit väldigt många vittnesförhör. Alltså det är ju strax under 200 personer som är med på de här vittneslistorna. Och det har ju redan liksom kommit ut ofantligt. Men alltså om man inte vet någonting om fallet och bara komma in i min live och börja titta på det så fattar man ju ingenting. Så det är jättebra att kolla till Leona. Jag ska spela upp även här från Swexpose story. En liten kort så också för, om fallet så att man hänger med. Har mamma blivit förhörd redan? Nej, alltså eller jo, nu tänkte jag på Lindsay. Nu har jag så mycket i huvudet här. Mamman och systern förhördes igår och även en datatekniker som har tagit ut analyser från hennes mobiltelefon och Apple Watchen. Sen tror jag det var någon annan också. Hej igen Ragnar, välkommen tillbaka. Men jag missade ju själv Lindcays mammas vittnesförhör igår och hennes systers. Så jag sa det innan att vi ska lyssna på det tillsammans idag. Dagens rättegång idag, alltså dag 15, kommer inte starta från klockan 15.00. Jag vet inte, hej Gabi, välkommen tillbaka. Man vet ju aldrig vem det är som står på de här vittneslistorna. Alltså eller så här, man får ju inte veta det i förväg. Höll på att missa. Ja, det var ju tur. Välkommen tillbaka. Men Gabi, har du hört om detta fallet? Eller så här, vet vad det handlar om och är lite så här, vet. Ja, okej. Nej, för jag ska visa, Swexpose la ut en jättebra video som förklarar fallet lite så i korthet så att ni hänger med. Det blir ju konstigt, jag har ju inte heller visat de andra rättegångsdagarna så det blir ju konstigt att bara komma in så mitt i. Hej Fiad! Men vi ska titta på den och sen så kör vi. Jag har redan tagit fram på YouTube när mamman ska börja vittna. Ja, men skitbra, det var den jag tänkte också spela upp här. Jag ska bara, sig har jag, dricka har jag. Vad ska jag ha mer? Nej, jag behöver inget mer. Det enda jag behöver är att ni likar liven och typ återpublicerar den och lägger den på er story om ni vill. För så fort jag börjar spela så kommer TikTok stänga av. Ja, superbra. Det var skitbra att hon la ut den. Jag la den också på min story så att ni har lite så här, ni vet vad caset handlar om liksom. Ja, nej men vi kör väl. Jag ska bara gå in med de här drickorna. Så sätter vi igång. Så. Och så stänger vi här. Så. Så. Hur gör man det? Vad menar du, Anna? Och för er som inte har hört min live varken innan idag eller så. Vi ska titta på den här rättegången som handlar om Lindcay Clancy. Alltså mamman som tog livet av sina 3 barn den 24 januari 2023. Alltså 3 år sedan. Hon ströp alla 3 till döds med elastiska träningsarmband. Och Lindcay gör sen därefter ett halvhjärtat försök att ta livet av sig själv genom att skära ytliga sår på sin kropp. Och därefter kastar ut sig själv från andra våningen från fönstret och bryter faktiskt ryggen och blir förlamad i nederdelen av kroppen. Den här rättegången som vi ska titta på, eller som pågår just nu, den handlar inte om hon är skyldig eller inte. För det det är redan klart och att hon är skyldig till de här morden på barnen. Utan rättegången handlar om hon verkligen kan ställas straffrättsligt ansvarig då hon hävdar inte vara vid sina rätta sinnestillstånd på grund av förlossningsdepression. Så att ni hänger med. Men vi tittar på den här som Swexpose la ut. Den är bara någon minut och sen så kör vi.
Behind on the whole Lindcay Clancy trial, let me catch you up. It was January 2023 in Duxbury, Massachusetts. Lindcay and Patrick Clancy lived in a gorgeous house with their 3 children. These were Cora, Dawson and Callan. The pair got married back in 2016 and to the outside world they seemed to have the perfect family unit. But behind the scenes Lindcay was really struggling. We know this for a fact. She'd given birth to baby Callan 8 months prior and had been really struggling with postpartum. She'd been experiencing depression, anxiety, trouble sleeping, intrusive thoughts, and she'd been taking medication for this. But none of the medication seemed to be working, and things were so bad that in early January 2023, she voluntarily checked herself into a psychiatric hospital. She ended up being discharged 2 days later, despite telling doctors and nurses that she was concerned her antipsychotic medication wasn't working and was making her feel numb. Shortly after her discharge, a series of horrific events would unfold. On the morning of the 24th of January, Lindcay took her 5-year-old Cora to a doctor's appointment for constipation symptoms and then brought her home. Her husband Patrick later headed out, we think at around 5:30ish, give or take. He basically was sent to pick up a prescription for the child and some food for tea as well. When he was at CVS, he called Lindcay, who apparently didn't pick up, but then apparently called him back straight away, and Patrick said that she appeared to be busy. Patrick says that when he returned home at about 6:09 p.m., there was silence. He said he went into the house, noticed blood on the floor and an open window. He also said he found his wife lying on the ground directly below the window outside, face up. And what we do know is that she was found with cuts to her neck and wrists, and he called emergency services. And a real sticking point in this case is that Patrick said that he asked his wife what she'd done, and she told him that she'd tried to unalive herself. He said right after asking her what happened, he asked where are the kids, and she said they were in the basement. Paramedics, when they found Lindcay, said she was only semi-conscious and largely unable to form coherent words. Patrick said he then found the children with exercise bands around their necks, and emergency services testified Patrick shouted out something along the lines of she's killed the effing kids. Heartbreakingly, Cora and Dawson were pronounced dead upon arrival at the hospital, and Callan also passed a few days later. Lindcay, after seemingly falling out of the window, was found to be paralyzed from the waist down, and she was charged with 3 counts of murder and is currently standing trial. So what this trial is effectively trying to do is figure out, A, if Lindcay did it, if she is guilty of killing her kids, and if she is actually criminally responsible because of the mental health issues she was suffering with at the time. As it stands, the narrative is that Lindcay confessed, allegedly, but we do all know that false confessions do happen. The prosecution argue that Lindcay planned these murders intentionally. Hopefully that gets you up to speed with just a little summary of the case. Do follow along because I'll be posting way more videos on this case as it unfolds.
Så. Där har ni en liten kort förklaring till fallet. Så ska vi gå in på YouTube bara. Jag har redan tagit fram här när det startar. Ska vi se om vi kan få till den på ett bra sätt. Det är det att om jag gör skärmen så här, jag kan inte få den längre bort. Kan det funka så här? Vi provar. Så nu, igår var det ju då dag 14, återigen. Vi ska lyssna då på Lindcays mammas vittnesmål och jag tror det börjar med hennes Så, förlåt. Det var min sons skola som ringde. Det var ett jätteviktigt samtal. Men nu så, vi startar nu.
Good afternoon.
Hi, good afternoon.
Could I ask you, speak into that microphone, keep your voice up, okay?
Okay.
Great, thank you. Counsel.
Good afternoon. Tell us your name, please, and spell it.
It's Allison Ozga, Allison. Last name is Ozga.
You know Lindsay?
I do.
How you know her?
Lindsay is my sister.
And can you tell us, are you close to Lindsay? Do you live near each other? Do you socialize? What type of relationship have you had with her?
We're very close. We have not lived in the same state for about 10 years now. But we do communicate, and I do think we're very close.
And do you text with her on a regular basis?
Yes,
And you talk on the phone, do you?
occasionally.
Directing your attention to the fall of, well, actually heading into like Thanksgiving, Christmas of 2022. Do you remember that time frame?
Yes.
And did you have occasion to see your sister during that period of time?
Yes.
And let's direct our attention to, let's say, Thanksgiving 2022. Had you noticed any change in Lindsay's personality or any observation of how she appeared to you?
Boken hjälper mig att ha kontroll över hela bolaget och över allt som händer. Om jag skulle beskriva boken med 3 ord skulle det vara lättillgängligt, förenklat, smidigt.
När din borste slits samlas bakterier och tandsten bildas på dina tänder.
Alltså
Byt
2
till ett nytt
reklamer på
Oral-B
rad
borsthuvud
också.
och få den perfekta rengöringen du förtjänar. Byt tillbaks till 100% rengöringskraft. Din perfekta rengöring börjar med ett nytt borsthuvud från Oral-B.
Jag ska köpa premium sen.
I will say on Thanksgiving in particular is when the first time I saw her in person after quite some time. I had known she had not been doing well via text message communication that we had. I think on Thanksgiving, she, her mood did not look good. Her energy, she didn't seem very energized. It definitely seemed off from how I've seen her in the past.
And were you aware that that carried through from November into December, around the holiday season, if you had stayed in touch with her?
Yes.
And can you tell us what you observed about her around the holiday season as it related to her, from your observations and your texting and your communications with Lindsay? How did she appear to you at that point?
The beginning of December, it seemed like she very much decompensated. I do remember her saying at one point at the beginning of December, something along the lines of, I'm in a really tough spot. And knowing what she had shared with me previously about how her mental health had been struggling, I had this gut feeling that something was off and that she was really struggling. And I asked her if she was safe.
What did she say?
She said yes at that point.
And you knew her husband, Pat?
Yes.
And you knew the kids?
Yes.
Obviously. Do you recall around Christmas itself, and perhaps a little bit thereafter, that you spoke with her and that she indicated, basically, I'm not doing okay?
Yes.
Can you tell the jury what you observed about her demeanor or her symptomology when you said she was decompensating around that time? What were they symptoms in your mind of?
Based on communication with Lindsay, and I started communicating with Pat directly at that time, she was reporting her mood was worsening, as she described as depression. She was having more suicidal thoughts. Insomnia continued to be an issue. She was really not feeling like herself.
And did you know that during that period of time where she was telling you about the suicidal thoughts and the issue of depression, that she was seeing doctors?
Yes.
And what did she tell you about seeing the doctors, and if she was on any medication, and if so, what effect did they have on her?
The first thing she said about the doctors was back in October when she said that she saw a doctor for Zoloft and had a very awful reaction to that Zoloft.
Would that be Dr. Tufts?
I don't believe she shared that specific with me.
The name? Okay.
No. And then I think throughout our communication over the couple months of October to December, she did share with me that she was going to doctors, she was getting different prescriptions, kind of all the things that they were trying and different treatments they were looking at.
And do you recall when you were talking with her about her symptoms towards the end of December that she had, in your words, decompensated significantly and stated to you that she felt nothing and that she was scared, things of that nature?
Yes.
What else did she tell you, if you recall?
At the end of December, so I think it was more along the same of, that she's really not feeling well. Her mood is down. She's feeling numb. She's feeling hopeless. I believe at the very end of the month, she told me she had had suicidal ideation every day for a month.
Do you recall towards the end of the month around New Year's that she voluntarily admitted herself somewhere?
Yes.
You know where she admitted herself?
McLean Hospital.
And while she was at McLean Hospital, ultimately, do you know how she got out of McLean Hospital?
It was my understanding that she was weaning off of some medication that she was on, and then was eventually discharged 5 days later.
Now, did you see her or talk to her after she left McLean Hospital trying to wean herself off of whatever medication it was? Because you don't know what the medication was, right?
I believe it was Seroquel.
Yep. Did she tell you anything to the effect that when she got out of the hospital that she felt as though this was a step in the right direction? Did she seem as though she was trying to be positive about her life?
Yes.
And tell us about that. Because up until this point, you had observed her decompensating and having these symptoms and suicidal ideation and depression and feeling nothing and scary. When she got out of McLean, what did she appear to you and what did she say to you?
I believe she said she felt that was a good plan and that she was starting to feel better.
So was your sister, in your opinion, granted she's your sister and you're biased, obviously, but was she a complainer?
No.
And obviously she didn't share with you in detail her doctors and medicines and things of that nature. Is that fair?
No.
But you were aware of the struggles and the hurt that she was going through.
Yes.
And then through the month of January, did you have occasion to see her, or were you, because you still live in different states?
Yes. Yes, I did have an occasion to see her in January.
When?
We went to Cora's birthday party.
And that was at the trampoline park?
Yes.
How did she appear at that?
I think she looked like she was going through the motions of putting together a birthday party for her daughter. But she looked tired. She looked like she was still struggling.
So there was a difference in your observation of what you had known your sister to have as a personality.
Yes.
And then, of course, the horrible day, were you aware, or did somebody call you and tell you that the children had been killed?
Yes.
One of them still survived and ultimately passed.
Yes.
And do you recall who told you that?
Yes.
Who was that?
My mother.
And as a result of getting the call from your mother, what did you do?
I jumped in a car, packed a bag, and I sped up to South Shore Hospital, which is where I was told she was.
Did you see her in South Shore Hospital?
No.
Did you know that she was then transferred to another hospital after South Shore?
Yes.
And what hospital was that?
I believe it was Brigham and Women's.
And were you able to visit her in Brigham and Women's?
Yes.
And did it take some time before they would allow you to visit with her?
Yes.
How long, if you know?
Jag måste bara säga det under pausen här att alltså shit vad lik hon är. Alltså systrarna är jättelika varandra och förutom håret då. Precis samma ansikte.
I think it was approximately 2 weeks.
Okay. And then you were able to see her pretty much on a regular basis?
Yes.
And where does your mother and father live?
In Connecticut.
And are you close to them?
Yes.
Can you tell the jury, from the time of this incident in January 24th of 2023 up until now, 2026, where has your mother and father been living?
My parents have been spending the majority of their time up here in Massachusetts.
Why?
So that they could visit Lindsay as much as possible.
Almost on a daily basis?
Yes.
Was that on a bed and breakfast or a bed and bath, or was it a hotel, or where were they staying?
They've been living out of hotels.
Thank you, that's all. You can inquire.
Como.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Now, when Lindsay was at McLean Hospital and she was discharged, did she tell you that she asked to be discharged early to go to Cora's birthday party?
I can't recall.
And do you recall speaking to the police on January 25th, just a day after this all happened back in 2023?
Yes.
And do you recall telling them that you saw Lindsay 2 weeks prior to the 24th, roughly around the birthday party time, and that she seemed okay?
Yes.
Do you recall telling the police that you spoke to her in phone calls many times after she was discharged to McLean, and that her tone of voice in those calls seemed better?
I did not speak to her on the phone. Most of our communication was via text.
So you don't recall saying that to the police, that the tone of Lindsay's voice in our phone conversations was better the last couple weeks since she had been released from the hospital?
I believe when I said that, I meant her tone via her text messages.
And so her tone in her text messages was better?
A bit.
And do you recall telling police that you spoke to Lindsay on Thursday, January 19th, 2023, and she seemed okay?
Yes.
And that was a phone call, correct?
That was text message.
Text message, okay.
Yes.
So when you were saying spoke to the police, you were referring to text messages?
Correct.
And so in that text message, she seemed fine?
She seemed okay.
So she had just been released from McLean Hospital at the beginning of January, and all of your communications after the birthday party were text messages, is that correct?
I think the date's right.
I believe so, yes.
Just so we make sure we have the date correct, after she was discharged from McLean in January of 2023, up until January 24th, 2023, all of your communications were via text.
Yes.
Did you visit her at her home that month?
No.
You didn't reach out or call her at all, correct?
I reached out and called, yes. I did not visit her at her home, no.
When you called, did she respond? Did she answer the phone?
I'm sorry, let me backtrack. I can't recall whether I made a phone call. I can recall the majority of our communication between January 1st and January 24th was via text message.
So there could have been some phone calls.
I cannot recall any phone calls.
You are a licensed social worker, correct?
Correct.
And you're a mandated reporter, correct?
Yes.
And at any point in time between January 1st, 2023 and January 24th, 2023, did you have enough concern about the safety of the kids or the safety of your sister to file a report as a mandated reporter?
No.
Thank you.
Ms. Ray?
Oh, yeah, Judge, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Let me step down.
Jag tror de kommer att kalla upp mamman nu.
Musgrove, please.
Här är Lindcay där. Sitter i rullstol. Ja, där är mamman. Alltså detta kommer att bli jättetufft att höra. Jag hörde lite igår. Jag kan säga att gråten var på väg faktiskt. Ja, det gjorde riktigt ont i hjärtat att höra det. Jag hörde det lilla jag hörde igår.
Även om det var frustration som kanske tog oss till Lyssnar, så den personliga servicen vi har fått och känslan av att det här är mer av ett partnerskap.
Hi, good afternoon. Good afternoon. Okay, I'm going to remind you, like I remind everybody else, just speak into the microphone if you can keep your voice up, please.
Okay.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. Tell us your name and spell your name, please.
My name is Paula Musgrove, Paulamusgrove.
And this is Musgrove. Fair to say that you are Lindsay's mother.
Yes, I am Lindsay's mother.
And your husband is here as well in the blue shirt, correct?
Yes.
You've been here for every day for the trial, is that correct?
Yes.
I just have a few questions for you. Obviously, you tell us about Lindsay when she was a kid. Was she a good kid, good student, that type of thing?
She was a very good kid and an excellent student. Very excellent student all through school, through high school, college. Yes, excellent.
Ever been in trouble, law enforcement or schools or discipline or anything?
No.
Were you aware of her husband, Pat?
Yes.
And obviously, you knew when they got married, when they were dating and things of that nature, right? Went to the wedding, obviously.
Yes.
Fair to say that you were close to your daughter and Pat?
Yes.
And you knew, obviously, the grandchildren?
Yes.
Tell the jury how you interacted and felt about your grandchildren.
I loved my grandchildren with all my heart. And you never know what it's like to love a grandchild until you become a grandmother. And it was the most beautiful thing. I love them with all my heart.
Now, did you have occasion to see how Lindsay reacted and treated her kids as a mother?
Yes.
And granted that you're her mother, so you're obviously biased. Tell the jury what observations you made of Lindsay as a mother through the years after Cora was born, and then Dawson, and then, of course, baby Callan.
Lindsay was a very loving mother. She was dedicated to her children. She was a fun mother. She was always doing things for her kids. She always wanted to be a mother, have many children, and I felt it was the best thing that ever happened to her. And she would do anything for her children. She was just a loving mother.
Now, in 2022, Callan was born. Is that correct?
Yes.
Did you stay in touch with Lindsay and Pat during that period of time, the spring into the summer of 2022?
Yes.
And how often would you see them or talk to them, or what would you do? You go to cookouts, or you have parties, or how would you socialize?
Myself and my husband would travel from Connecticut to Duxbury at least 2 or 3 times a month, as well as them coming to Connecticut to visit us.
And would you agree that in the summer, for example, of 2022, that Lindsay and Pat were active with the kids and were pretty happy?
Very happy, yes.
Did you observe in the summer of 22 any changes at that point in her personality and the way she was acting with her friends and in society?
In the summer, no.
And they were having a fairly good summer.
Yes.
Did you notice at some point a change in Lindsay's demeanor?
Yes.
Tell the jury when that was.
It was sometime probably around the 2nd week of October.
What happened that you noticed?
I noticed that she had become very anxious. She told me she was anxious about going back to work because Callan was having trouble taking a bottle and she didn't feel right about leaving him.
And as a result of that, did she tell you that she was going to put off going back to work?
Yes, she told me she was applying for an extension.
Now, did you know at that point that she was going through any issues involving depression or anxiety or having any suicidal ideation or anything like that?
At that point, no.
At what point, if any, did you become aware that your daughter was suffering from this symptomology?
In late October.
And how did that come about?
She sent me a text message.
You recall when that was?
Yes, that was on October 20th.
Now, Your Honor, the government has introduced into evidence the entire of the phone dumps, if you will, and I think they put it on a disc, and it's probably thousands of pages. But I do have the text thread that deals with that time frame in October. I'd like to offer that so that it's apparent what I'm referring to, rather than having to search through thousands of pages of disc.
No objection.
Okay. They may be admitted.
So approaching, what we have this.
276.
Now, the text message that you're referring to, would that be on?
Alla tänder är unika. Oral-B är på ett
Alltså jag ska verkligen köpa premium sen. Vi slipper det här skiten.
Rengör bättre än manuella tandborstar och når svåråtkomliga ställen där hål börjar. Musiktimern gör tandborstningen rolig.
Kom igen då.
Godkänd av tandläkare. Barns perfekta rengöring börjar med Oral-B.
October 20th of 2022?
Yes,
And do you have that on your phone right now?
I do.
Can you just pull that up for us?
I can. Just give me a moment. Okay, I have it.
Kelsey, do you have a copy maybe that she could look at?
Oh, I have a copy.
Yeah, that might be easier for the witness.
So I'm going to approach you with this board.
Ja, vi kan ju göra det med Arisov så vi enbart kan ägna dagarna åt detta, tänker jag.
Of the text that you're referring to.
Yes, it is.
Would you read that?
Jag ska bara säga det snabbt. Alltså nu har jag ju ändå suttit här och visat lite från Budrum och den här rättegången och lite andra, Simons live och sånt, så det är kanske ändå värt att köpa premium. Så jag ska nog faktiskt fixa det. Vi slipper det här.
For the jury.
Mom, will you please come up and stay with me for a bit? I'm really sick. Something is wrong. I had horrible insomnia all night, and I just don't know how I'm going to get through the day. I started taking the medicine my doctor prescribed for anxiety, and I think it's made things worse. It's just really scary, and I don't want to be alone.
Right. Listen.
Objection. It's already in evidence.
What do we mark it for identification? Is that text within the trust? Well, I know you would, but we already have the. No, we're going to mark that for identification. The text that is been referred and read to.
Du har missat systerns vittnesmål, men mamman har precis börjat. Det har kanske varit, eller pågått typ 2 minuter, så du har inte missat så jättemycket. Jag ska säga det också, detta är advokaten Kevin Reddington. Alltså han är ju en välkänd, ska jag verkligen säga, advokat som har även varit stor inom andra fall gällande just kvinnor. En av hans andra uppmärksammade fall är, jag kommer inte ihåg namnen på de här nu, men det var en kvinna som levde tillsammans med sin man. Mannen psykiskt och fysiskt misshandlade kvinnan under väldigt många år, och det slutade med att den här kvinnan sköt mannen. Hon skaffade då Kevin Reddington som sin försvarsadvokat, och de vann det målet, så att hon fick rätten på sin sida även ifall hon hade skjutit sin egen man i självförsvar.
Is within Exhibit 276, which was just offered.
I'm sorry, which is what?
I think it was within Exhibit 276, which was within that thread that you just offered.
Okay, so I will then, that would be 276, so that will be over here. As a result of receiving that text, did you then come up to...
Hold on a second.
Exhibit W for identification.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, thank you.
All right, thank you.
So as a result of that, Did you come up to Duxbury?
Yes, same day.
And tell us about that. What happened that day at the end of October?
Lindsay had been, I believe she went to the emergency room that day and she had come home. She was feeling a bit better. She told me that she couldn't sleep. She was very anxious and she was afraid.
And how long did you stay with her?
At that point?
Yes.
I believe at that point I stayed for about a week.
And was your husband with you?
He came later. He didn't come directly with me then because he was still working, so he came later.
I never asked, what did you do for work?
I worked for Weight Watchers.
And you're retired?
Yes.
How about your husband? Is he working now?
He recently retired.
And what was the nature of his work?
He was in photography.
What kind of photography?
School picture photography.
For yearbooks and things like that?
Yeah, and school pictures, and you had your kids' pictures taken.
And he just recently retired?
Yes.
Is it fair to say that during the month of October into November, into the holidays in December, that you and your husband would stay with Lindsay and the kids?
Yes. I stayed more than my husband because he needed to go back home to work.
Sure. While you were staying with Lindsay, can you tell us your opinion as to her condition? Was it decompensating? Was she getting better as time went on through November and December into the holidays?
Through November into December, it was not getting better into the holidays.
And you knew she was on medication at that point?
Yes.
You knew she was seeing doctors at that point?
Yes.
So tell us, is there an incident that came to your mind that you recall that occurred on one evening that...
Här sker inga olyckor. Pampers Baby Dry Pants. En ficka som skyddar mot olyckor och snabb absorption.
Sensommarfynda på bygghemma.se. Just nu får du 35% rabatt på svenska fönster.
Indicated to you how seriously she was suffering?
There were many. One particular evening that was disturbing to me was that, she was afraid. She was afraid to be alone. And she actually asked if she could sleep with me.
When was that?
That was late November, early December.
And did she indeed sleep with you on that occasion?
She did.
Continuing on through the holidays, did you guys get together for the holidays, Christmas or Thanksgiving, if you recall?
Yes, I was down there probably most of December through Christmas Eve, and then I left on Christmas Eve to come home to see my other daughter and her family, and then Lindsay actually came to my house later the day on Christmas Day.
Was she with Pat?
Yes.
Okay, and the kids?
Yes.
During that period of time, did you make further observation as time went into January? Oh, back it up. At some point, she voluntarily went into McLean Hospital?
Yes.
You knew that?
Yes.
How did you know that?
I was there.
What do you mean you were there?
I was at Lindsay's house staying with them.
You take care of the kids?
Yes.
And it's fair to say that Pat's parents, mom and dad, also stepped up, taking care of the kids, helping out during this period of time?
They were there, I guess, when we weren't there. I didn't really see them, but...
Right, because you guys would be different time frames.
Right.
But you all were pulling together as a family, is that
Right.
correct? January, leading up to January 24th, do you recall, and can you tell the jurors what, if any, observations you made of Lindsay and her condition?
Lindsay had lost a lot of weight. She had become, during this whole time, paranoid about different things that really she shouldn't have, really weren't logical to become paranoid about. She would mention that this wasn't her mind. She would say to me, this isn't me. I've never been like this before. And I would agree because she wasn't. She was attempting to go through the motions of her day, take care of the kids as best she could. She didn't want to drive. So at times when Pat didn't go pick the kids up at school, I would drive Lindsay to pick the kids up at school because she was afraid to drive.
Did she express to you concern that in this time frame that people at the school, teachers and other people would be able to know what she was thinking and would think that she wasn't a good mother because she was sick?
Yes, she said the school knows something's going on because I'm not driving my car. They see that I'm not driving my car to pick the kids up.
Do you recall at the end of January that she made a statement to you about the medication, in her opinion, what it was doing to her mind?
Yes.
What did she say?
She said that she couldn't remember anything. The medication was pretty much just destroying her mind, and it wasn't her. She said that this isn't me. I just want to feel better and enjoy my kids again.
Now, I know that this is difficult. In December of 2022, do you recall the time that you were in the kitchen with Lindsay and Patrick and she made a statement about
Lyssna på detta noga nu.
her husband Pat and you were there?
Yes.
I know it's difficult. Just tell us what you remember.
I remember her being very nervous. I remember her saying, I just have to tell you guys something. And then she told us.
What did she tell you?
She told us that she had thoughts of harming the children.
Thank you very much.
Why don't we take the...
Jag måste bara pausa här. Alltså, hon har alltså satt sin egen familj nära och kära ner för att, och även då sin man Patrick, för att tala om för dem att hon har tankar på att skada sina egna barn. Alltså detta, om inte detta är den största red flaggen i alltså historiens historia, så vet jag inte vad den, alltså det här skulle vara det tillfället då Lindsay skulle inte få vara runt barnen. Alltså detta är, alltså det kan inte bli liksom, jag vet inte vad man behöver mer veta. Alltså de här barnen skulle satts i säkerhet. Och jag säger det återigen, så som vården har inte hjälpt den här kvinnan, kan jag även anse på ett visst sätt att familjen och Patrick inte heller har tagit de här varningssignalerna på allvar. Och när man kokar ihop allt det här, så har det också lett upp till det som hände, det tragiska, den 24 januari 2023. Och det är jättetragiskt. Ja, vi fortsätter.
Afternoon recess at this time. We'll come back for cross-examination. All right. So, ma'am, you can step down.
Thank you.
All right. So, members of the jury, we're going to take the break at this time. We expect to have you back about 2 o'clock.
Verkligen. Det är många som borde ha gjort någonting där och då. Jag har jättesvårt också att förstå det, hur man inte har kunnat ta det på fullaste allvar. Absolut, Mjauji. Jag ska spola fram här, för de ska ju ha paus nu, och sen är det ju Commonwealth som ska ta över. Jag ska bara se hur långt vi ska spola. Är det någon som vet hur mycket premium på YouTube kostar? Kolla upp det under tiden medan jag fixar här.
All right, thank you, Madam Clerk. Trees break?
Thank you, Your Honor. Good afternoon.
Nu ska ju då Commonwealth förhöra Lindcays mamma. De vill ju försöka bevisa att Lindcay var vid sina sinnesfulla när hon begick det här. Så hon kommer fråga henne tusentals frågor. Jag tror det handlar mycket om de här sms-konversationerna och angående hennes mående.
Now, you testified in direct examination about the statements that Lindsay made in December about having thoughts about harming the children.
Hey, Hadja.
When in December was that?
I don't exactly remember. I would say early to mid December, probably maybe earlier rather than mid-December. But I don't exactly remember when.
Okay. And when she made the statement that she had thoughts of harming the children, did either you or Patrick ask her what she meant by that?
I believe I remember Pat asking her if she felt like she couldn't be alone with the children, and she said no.
And after she made those statements, did you have any thoughts about committing her?
No.
Did you have any thoughts about having her come stay with you in Connecticut away from the children?
No.
Were you concerned for the children's safety at that point in time?
No, because I was there.
And you were asked about some text messages in October, and those are now an exhibit, I believe. Exhibit 276. And so you talked about the text on the 20th when she asked you to come and she was having a hard time, right?
Yes.
A day before, on October 19th, she had sent you a different text message stating, "Hi, Mom, would you ever consider coming to stay with us for a couple days at a time to help with childcare so I can work?" And talking to a therapist and doing a lot of thinking, I actually think going to work will help me, but it's really hard with nurses' hours to get childcare that we need. I'm thinking if you could come like Sunday to mid-Tuesday, it'd be really helpful. Just a thought. Do you remember that text the day before?
Yes.
And did you agree in a text message that you said I can come and help out?
Yes.
And then after that next day is when she said she was having trouble and wanted you there then, and you went that day, correct? But you said you were there for about a week, but there's a text on October 20th that's not included in this exhibit, where on October 24th at 2:36 p.m., you send a text to her saying, "How are things today?" And she responds, "Good." Remember that?
Yes.
So were you already home at that point when you were asking her how she was doing on the 24th?
I must have been home at that point. I honestly don't remember. I was back and forth so many times. So the time frames are really jumbled in my head as far as how long I stayed any particular time.
And so you would go and help out when they asked you to, and then you would go home when things were calmed down a little bit. Is that right?
Not exactly right.
No? And she did say on the 24th that she was doing good that day, correct?
I don't recall, but if that's what the text says, then.
Here you go, you can look at it.
Yeah. Okay.
So she told you at that point on the 24th she was doing good, right?
Correct.
It had this page marked as the next exhibit.
Any objection? No. That may be marked.
277. Now, you talked about a time when you went to her home and you actually ended up sleeping with her because she didn't want to be alone. Was that October 20th visit?
No.
When was that?
That was, I can't exactly remember when. I'm going to say probably sometime in November, the latter part of November, or maybe the early part of December.
Did she tell you why she was afraid to be alone?
She just said she was afraid to be alone. And one reason I believe she said she didn't know if she was going to be able to sleep, but mainly she was afraid to be alone.
And at that point in time, did you consider having her committed to a psychiatric facility?
No.
And did you feel the need to call 911 that day or get her immediate assistance?
No.
You mentioned that in January, you saw her and she lost weight. She seemed paranoid about things, seemed to be going through the motions of each day. How often did you see her in January of 2023?
In January, I can't exactly remember how many times I saw her. We were, again, back and forth.
So we have Exhibit 238, which have all of your text messages with Lindsay in January of 2023. And I just want to go through some of them with you.
Inget slår hemlagat. Med middagar alla ser fram emot. Varje kväll hela veckan.
So on page 17 of the exhibit, this is on January 4th, 2023. So the day before she was discharged from McLean. And she sent you a text stating, "Think I'm coming home tomorrow evening, !" I talked to the doctor and I made up a follow-up appointment with my other psychiatrist besides Rebecca for Friday morning. So she said she'd be okay with me leaving Thursday around 5. Do you remember getting those messages?
Yep.
And were you staying at the home helping out with the kids at that point?
Yes.
And did you go to Cora's birthday party on the 7th?
I did not. It was a children's party. I stayed home with Callan.
And do you recall when you went home?
I don't recall.
Looking at page 28, and there's a text from Lindsay on January 7th, 2023 at 7:02 p.m. to you where it says, "Make it home okay," and you said, "Yup." Does that make sense that you would have gone home on the 7th after the birthday party?
Yes, if that's what the text says, yes.
Hennes familj var ju hemma hos Lindsay och Patrick nästan hela januari månad.
Text messages between yourself and Lindsay on January 8th where you
Både
ask how things
december
are
och
going
januari
today,
månad.
and she says, "Good, going to the Science Museum." You say, "Great, that will be fun. Sleep good last night." And she said, "I actually did, with less Ativan, so that was good." Do you remember that?
I don't recall the exact text messages.
Do you recall her texting you about going to the Science Museum?
No, I don't recall that.
Do you think looking at them might help?
Sure.
I'm going to show you page 29 and then page 30.
Alltså själva händelsen hände ju 24 januari 2023, men större delar av december och januari månad fram till då den 24 givetvis, så har ju hennes föräldrar varit otroligt mycket hemma hos dem och hjälpt till med barnen. Och även då Patricks föräldrar. Så där har ju liksom funnits stöd under den här tiden. Ända fram till egentligen upp till händelsen. So got loading.
That's what the text says, yes.
And then on Page 34, you ask how the museum was today, and Lindsay sent you some photographs and said it was fun. The kids really liked it. Do you remember that?
I don't really recall the Museum of Science experience or text, but if they're there in the text messages, then they were sent, yes.
Okay. Then on page 39, this is January 10th. You say at 9:48 a.m., "Good morning, how are you doing today?" And Lindsay responded, "Good, at the gym with the kids." You said, "Nice, still sleeping good?" And she responded, "Pretty good, yeah, not perfect, but enough." And you said, "Are you feeling any better during the day?" And she said, "So far, a little bit." They said a week off the Seroquel should make more of a difference, so a couple more days till that, but I do think it's helping being off. And you responded, "Okay, a little at a time." Do you remember that conversation?
So I don't recall the exact conversation. I think I probably texted back and forth to Lindsay almost daily during that time. So I don't remember the specific text messages, but I would say if they're there, then that's what we sent back to each other.
Okay. And then there were further text messages that day. Where you say, "How was your day?" later on in the day. And she said it was good, played with the kids a lot, were able to go outside, Kingsbury Club and gymnastics, kept them busy, and me too. So do you remember her talking to you during that time about going to gymnastics and going to the Kingsbury Club and things like that with the children?
I don't remember the specific text, but I do remember her doing things with the children, yes.
Then on January 11th, the following day, you sent a text, excuse me, "How are you feeling today?" And she responded with a photo of Callan drinking out of a Mary Lou's cup, saying, "We have another Mary Lou's fan." And you said, "Decaf looks like he's enjoying it." And then later on, you asked again, "How are you doing today?" And she said, "Hi, Mom, doing all right. Nothing new, really, just taking it day by day." You said, "Still feeling a little better." And she said, "A little bit." You said, "Sleeping okay." She said, "Not great last night because Cora was up with a bellyache." Do you remember that?
So again, we texted so many times daily, twice daily, maybe 3 times daily. So I can't say that I remember the specific text. I do remember the picture of Callan with the Mary Lou cup because that stands out in my mind. But the specific text going back and forth, we just did it so often that I can't say I remember the specific text you're reading back to me. Okay. But again, if they were there, then we sent them.
Right. And do you remember Lindsay talking to you about Cora having stomach issues during the month of January?
Yes.
And belly aches off and on?
Yes.
And then January 13th, again, you're checking in with her. "Hi, Lindsay, how are you today?" She said, "Hi, Mom, pretty good today. How about you?" You asked about the little ones, and she said, "All good, went to the gym this morning, just hanging out, and now they have no school today." And then the following day, again, you're checking in. "Hi, Lindsay, how's your Saturday going?" She said, "Hi, Mom, it's going well, just hanging out. It's yucky here." So these are like daily check-ins that you're doing, checking in on her, seeing if she's okay, seeing if she's feeling better, seeing if she's sleeping well, things like that, right?
Yes.
You also asked her that day on the 14th, "Do you feel any different since being off the Seroquel?" She says, not as much as I was hoping, going to talk to my psychiatrist about it on Monday. You say, but some. She says a little, but I still don't feel like you, but then she corrects it to me. And you ask her if she's going to be able to get outside with the kids today, and she said she's going to try. So similar conversations to that where you're talking about medication and how she's doing on the medication?
Yes, I get.
Then the following day, on the 15th of January, you say, good morning. Is it a good morning for you today? She says, good morning. It's pretty good going to an indoor water park. And she tells you that it's at the Cape Codder. Do you remember them going to the Cape Codder water park?
I do remember them going there, yes.
And then on the following day, on the 16th, you actually texted her, how was the water park yesterday? She said it was fun. Cora and Dawson enjoyed. Callan didn't know what to think of it. Couldn't get any pics because it was too hectic keeping track of them in the water and stuff. And it was busy, but it was a good time. Does that sound familiar, that they had a good time that day? And you asked her that day if she had anything planned. And she said Pat took Cora skiing, so she was hanging with the boys. Do you remember that?
Not specifically. I don't remember that text.
She, that same day, sent you some photographs of Dawson doing a drawing of a firefighter and Callan. Do you remember receiving those?
I do remember the pictures, yes.
Then the follow.
Vi sitter och lyssnar på Lindsay Clancys rättegång. Det är dag 14 från igår. Det är mamma som tog livet av sina 3 barn i källaren och sen försökte ta livet av sig själv när då hon hoppade från andra våningen och bröt nacken och blev förlamad sen i nederdelen av kroppen. Detta hände den 24 januari 2023. Så detta är det vi lyssnar på och just nu är det mammans vittnesförhör.
Day again, you're checking in every day. You say you're feeling better. She says a little bit. You said still taking the same medication. She said yes, about to have an appointment with her psychiatrist. You said let me know how it goes, and she said okay. And then she responds back after her appointment. She recommended another antidepressant since my mood is still very low off the Seroquel. You asked her how she felt about it, and she told you she just wants to feel like herself again, but she's up for trying it. And she just wants to get back to who she was, right?
Correct.
And she told you it was amitriptyline. Is that right? Do you remember that?
I don't remember the medication.
Okay. Then on the 18th, January 18th, again, you're reaching out. And she says, hi, Mom, I'm doing all right. How about you? And you say, you're good. You're thinking about visiting that weekend. And she says, that sounds good. And you ask her about being able to get out and exercise. And she says she's been walking on the treadmill at the gym for exercise. And you ask her if she started a new medication and if she's feeling better. And she says, feel okay, just not great. I did start it 2 nights ago. You said, is that the one that takes a while to feel the effects? She said, yup, weeks. And you said, is the okay that you're feeling now better than what you were feeling a few weeks ago? And she said, yes. Do you remember that?
Again, I don't remember the specific text. Just remember texting back and forth daily about how she's feeling, about, what's different medication-wise. But I can't say I remember that specific text that you're reading me. But again, if they're there, then they...
Förvandla lek till lön på vintern. Används den inte. Sälj den.
Gabriella, nu går du och hämtar penna och papper och så sätter du dig ner och börjar med din uppgift, tycker jag. Medan vi sitter och lyssnar. Så, kom igen.
Can you tell if anything's different with the new medication? She says, I'm feeling all right. Nothing new really yet because it takes weeks to really work, but I'm okay. You asked if she's still sleeping well, and she says decently. And the kids get up a lot. So again, more of the same check-ins daily, seeing how she's doing, seeing how she's sleeping, right?
Correct.
And then on the 20th, you reach out, is it pizza and movie night? She says just pizza and playing. And you tell her you're leaving at 9, bringing dessert for the kids. And she says, sounds great. So you're talking about your visit that weekend. Is that right?
Yes.
And in these texts prior to the visit, you say that it's been a while since you've seen them. So it sounds like from these texts, you're checking in with her every day from January 7th, 2023, all the way up to your visit on January 21st, 2023. You're checking in with her. So you're at home in Connecticut from the 7th until the 21st.
Correct.
And then on the 22nd, that Sunday, Lindsay, Pat, and the older kids, they go to the Carney's house for that bonfire and get together. And you stayed home with Callan, right?
Correct.
And then after they get home, you and your husband left, is that correct?
Yes.
And on the way home, you texted on January 22nd, 2023 at 7:55 p.m. Enjoyed seeing everyone this weekend. Nice to see you doing better. Is that correct?
If that's what that says, yes, that's correct. I don't exactly remember the text, but yes, if that's what it says, yes.
So from your text, not saying she was doing great, but she was doing better than she was, according to your text, or appeared to be.
The text from me was meant to encourage her because I didn't think it did any good to discourage her. So the text was not necessarily what I actually observed that weekend, but it was meant to encourage her because I was encouraging her to do things with the kids to kind of try to get back to normal. So it's not necessarily a representation of exactly what I observed that weekend.
But that weekend, she was able to go to a friend's house with the older kids and Pat and spend a few hours there, correct?
Correct.
Ni hör ju,
And she was able to...
ni hör ju att The Commonwealth försöker ju få mamman att tala om i rättssalen att hon faktiskt i vissa perioder trots allt mådde bra. Så det är det de håller på med just nu.
Do activities and hang out with you and your husband. There's a photograph and evidence of the two of you sitting on the couch smiling and hanging out together. So you were able to interact with her, correct?
Correct. The photograph was taken by Cora because Cora wanted to use my phone and take her picture. So Lindsay and I were going to put a smile on our face and let Cora take a picture. Yes. But again, there was other observations I made that weekend, but it was not, I didn't think it was in Lindsay's best interest to discourage her or point out those because she was making every attempt to feel better and to do things to make herself feel better. So as a mother, I was encouraging her.
Well, you didn't say, I hope you feel better, or you're going to get there, or you're doing it. You actually said, nice to see you doing better, correct? That's what you wrote?
Those were my encouraging words, yes.
And from January 7th up through January 22nd, Lindsay repeatedly told you she was doing okay. She was feeling a little bit better. Not completely better, not 100%, but she kept telling you, I feel a little bit better, I feel a little bit better. You even asked her, is the better you're feeling now better than a few weeks ago? And she said yes, correct?
That's correct without my observation of her.
And what she was responding to you in text, correct?
Correct.
Sen, jag måste bara säga det också att det är klart att man inte berättar det heller kanske för föräldrarna hela tiden. Alltså man vill ju alltid framställa det som att man mår bra fast man egentligen kanske inte gör det. Så det får man ju ändå ha i åtanken också, tycker jag. Hej Haglin.
You also spoke to the police on January 25th, 2023. Do you remember that?
Alltså jag svär Swegspos, du är min största supporter. Nu ser du likar liven hela tiden. Gullig. Tack så jättemycket.
Do you remember telling the police that Lindsay seemed to be improving since leaving McLean?
Vi skulle gå och träna.
Nej,
Jo, Jerry, han tog sönder mina träningsskor så det blir jättesvårt.
I do not recall. I remember speaking to the police. I had just found out what had happened, and I was pretty much in shock. So anything I remember, honestly, I remember 2 things I told the police. Anything else that you have there, I must have said, but I don't recall them. I've been going through my mind. I can honestly recall 2 things I told the police during that interview. I was pretty much in shock.
Okay, so do you remember telling them that she seemed brighter lately?
I don't recall.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Bennington?
Oh, you mean the ones that you didn't want? Oh, this was one.
That's all right. I can check later. Just looking here through the exhibits, District Attorney stood up and said to you that I had introduced
Detsamma,
into evidence
Messiah.
and showed you
Ta hand om det.
Exhibit 276, which would be a list of text dated on October 19th. Do you remember that? It was the black one. It was the copies. It wasn't green. This was introduced into evidence. Recall her questioning you from this?
On October 19th?
Yeah, this is the one that I had introduced, Exhibit 276. And the date would be October 19th, your text thread.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry.
And then she said, well, there's something missing, and went up and said to you, this text, which would be 277. You recall that? I'm going to show it to you.
Yes.
Okay. So what I had introduced was a text thread from October 19th up through and including October 20th. Is that fair to say? Right there?
Yes.
Okay. And the reason I introduced this is because we had introduced earlier, like a whole lot of pages text. And I wanted to focus on the text thread where she said, Mommy, can you stay?
Sustained.
So when the district attorney suggested that there's something missing, like I left it out or something, is it fair to say that Exhibit 277 is a totally different date? Look at the date. What is the date that the DA is talking about? See it on there?
10/23.
10/23. It has nothing to do with the text thread that I introduced, right? It's a day or two after that, right?
Right.
If you know.
Yes.
Now, we had introduced into evidence also the Celebrate record as Exhibit 238 that the state police for the district attorney's office had printed out. That is only the month of January. Do you recall that testimony?
Yes.
And then I introduced into evidence, or tried to introduce into evidence, all of the text between you and your daughter.
Det de pratar om nu, det är att alltså Commonwealth, det är ju de som, alltså hur ska jag förklara? Hjälp mig. Det är ju de som arbetar liksom för staten, för att de vill ju döma Lindcay till att hon var vid sitt fulla sinnestillstånd. Nej, det är inte socialtjänsten. Jag kollade upp det igår, men jag kommer inte på nu direkt översättningen. Men de har ju då enbart lämnat in januaris månaders meddelanden mellan Lindsay och hennes mamma. Det Kevin Reddington pratar om nu, det är att han ville lägga in i bevisningsmaterialet, för de måste ju hela tiden, det är därför han springer till den här personen hela tiden, för att han vill lägga in det i systemet. Och under de här 3 åren så har det ju kommit in bevisning, och han ville då att alla textmeddelanden mellan Lindsay och hennes mamma över flera månaders tid skulle också läggas till i bevisningen. Så det är det han försöker säga nu. Jag vet inte, Swegsfors. Jag kollade upp det igår, men det var inte sus. Vänta. Vi ska kolla upp det direkt. Jag ska faktiskt kolla upp det direkt. Så här, i en rättegång i Amerikas delstater avser Commonwealth självaste staten eller samhället som målsägande. Istället för att målet heter Person X mot polisen inleds åtalet som Commonwealth versus då Lindcay Clancy. Den anklagade alltså. Vilket betyder att åklagaren företräder folkets och statens gemensamma intressen. Yes. Som andra ord så är det åklagarsidan. Commonwealth är åklagarsidan. Det är hon här, de 2 tjejerna som är bredvid då Kevin Reddington. Kevin Reddington är ju hennes då försvarsadvokat, och Commonwealth är åklagarsidan. Så.
Counsel, sidebar, please.
Ja, jag vet, och då...
Middagar alla ser fram emot. Favoriter för stora aptiter och små matkritor. Ikväll äter vi tillsammans. Inget slår hemlagen.
Alltså jag förstår ju vem de är. Det är bara det att jag vet inte vilket det direkta översatta ordet till svenska var. När man tittat också så mycket på sådana här trials, alltså i USA. Det är så mycket ord och, som inte så här går direkt att översätta till svenska alltid heller. Men det är, Commonwealth är alltså åklagarsidan.
Thank you very much. That's all I have.
Hi.
And when you were asked about Exhibit 271 and the text messages on
Det är samma, Sandris.
October 23rd and October 24th, that was to establish when you left the home that week of the 20th, correct? Because you said, how are things today? And she said good, implying that you were no longer with them, correct?
I believe so, yes.
All right. Anything on that, counsel?
Oh, no, thank you.
All right, thank you, ma'am. Please sit down. Thank you. All right, defendant.
Yes. I call the record. Welcome.
Där är hon, Lindcay Clancy. Dottern som som tog sina egna barns liv. Nu har ju då Kevin Reddington kallat en person som jobbar på sjukhuset och han ska ju då vittna angående inom sin medicinska profession. Han har själv inte haft hand om Lindsay när hon låg ju givetvis inlagd på sjukhuset ett tag efter hon bröt nacken. Men han hade inte hand om Lindsay, personligen, utan Kevin Reddington har lämnat över all medicinskt material till han här för att se över det och då vittna om materialet. Så jag tror det är bara typ 16 minuter kvar, så vi kör den också. Ja, jag är jätteduktig på engelska och så här fatta och förstå engelska och översätta det i min hjärna. Och du vet, när man har tittat så mycket på det här och ska liksom så här förklara för er, så blir det så här. Jag måste hela tiden översätta i mitt huvud från engelska till svenska, för det är mycket lättare att förstå det på engelska, så tycker jag i alla fall. Ja, det blir jättefel, Anna.
All right, good afternoon. All right, Ms. Reagan, why don't you hold off? I'm going to give an instruction. Oh, sure. At this point. So, members of the jury, I just want to give you an instruction. One I probably should have given a little bit earlier in the trial as well. It's going to apply to this witness. It applies to a number of witnesses who testified earlier, and it's going to apply to a number of witnesses who testify after. And it's in regards to expert witnesses. All right. So, generally...
De här vittnena kallar de ju då expertvittnen. Det är de som till exempel som igår, han som vittnade, som hade tagit ut material från hennes telefon och Apple Watchen. Så han ska bara förklara för vad heter de nu, åhörarna. Han ska förklara för dem vad det innebär och vad de ska lyssna efter och så. Att, ja, jag ska sluta jappa.
In our courts, witnesses may testify only to facts that are within their own personal knowledge. Right? That's things that they've personally seen, heard, or felt. However, in a variety of cases, issues arise that are beyond the experiences of laypersons in those type of cases. We allow a person with specialized training or experience called an expert witness to testify, and testify not only to facts but also to opinions and the reasons for their opinions on issues that are within that witness's field of expertise and are relevant material to the case. Because a particular witness has specialized training and experience in their field does not put that witness on a higher level than any other witness, and you are to treat the so-called expert witness just like you would treat any other witness. In other words, as with any other witness, it's completely up to you to decide whether you accept the testimony of any expert witness, including the opinions that they give. It's also entirely up to you to decide whether you accept the facts that are relied on by the expert and to decide what conclusions, if any, you draw from the witness's testimony. You're free to reject the testimony and opinion of such a witness in whole or in part if you determine that the opinion is not based on sufficient education or experience, that the testimony of the witness is motivated by some bias or interest in the case. You must keep firmly in mind that you alone decide what the facts are. So if you conclude that an expert's opinion is not based on the facts as you find those facts to be, then you may reject the testimony and the opinion of the expert in whole or in part. You must remember that expert witnesses do not decide cases, juries do. So in the last analysis, an expert witness is like any other witness. In the sense that you alone make the judgment about how
Han
much
pratar till juryn
credibility
nu.
and weight you give to that
Inte
expert's
åhörarna.
testimony and what conclusions.
Åhörarna är de som sitter bakom Lindsay till exempel. De som bara är där och lyssnar på rättegången. Förlåt, jag sa fel.
You draw from the testimony. All right? And I'll go into that a little bit more at the end when I go into the more extensive instructions that I'll give you at the end of the trial. All right, Ms. Riggs.
Det är sjukt overkligt. Fellows erbjudande är overkligt billigt.
Så, förlåt, jag fick samtal igen från sonens skola bara.
Can you tell us your name and spell your name?
It's Michael Wolfovich. It's V as in Victor, U-L, F as in Frank, O, V as in Victor, I-C-H.
And what do you do for work, sir?
I'm an emergency medicine doctor. I work full-time at Newton Wellesley Hospital.
Newton Wellesley?
Yes.
And can you tell us are you board certified, sir?
I am. I'm board certified in emergency medicine.
And that would be by the American Board of Emergency Medicine?
Correct.
And how long have you been practicing emergency medicine?
I did 3 years of residency, and this is my 13th year as a full-time attending.
And you're presently employed, where is it?
Newton Wellesley Hospital primarily, and then I do some additional shifts at Emerson Hospital in Concord.
How about medical school? Where'd you go to med school?
St. Louis University School of Medicine.
And what year did you graduate?
2011.
Obviously licensed in the Commonwealth.
Yes, sir.
In the course of your training and experience, sir, do you work full-time in a particular field of medicine?
Just emergency medicine. So basically we see any and all comers, anything from ankle sprains to traumas.
Okay. Did I ask you to review some documents regarding this particular case involving Lindsay Clancy?
You did. You asked me to review the...
Very what you reviewed.
Oh, sorry. You asked me to review the photos from the crime scene and then the emergency medical records from South Shore Hospital, Brigham and Women's Hospital, and then the records from her hospital stay at Brigham and Women's Hospital.
So in reviewing all of those various hospital records, sir, you're aware that on January 24th of 2023, she initially was transported to South Shore Hospital. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And can you tell the jurors what's treatment she received at the South Shore Hospital briefly?
So she arrived with a GCS of 10, meaning she was not really very responsive.
Let me interrupt you just because that. What did you say? A G6?
GCS, Glasgow Coma Scale.
Okay, slow down. Because I don't understand. What is a GCS?
It's a Glasgow Coma Scale. It's a series of things that we look at to determine how responsive somebody is. You know, whether their eyes are opening spontaneously, whether they're able to speak on their own, and whether you're able to understand understand what they're saying, and then how much, if at all, they're moving, whether they're moving spontaneously, whether they can follow commands, that kind of thing.
Okay. So the Glasgow Coma Scale GCS of 10, what does that tell you as an emergency room doctor?
Tells us that she was not very responsive on arrival. It sounds like she was not speaking intelligibly, and the doctors at South Shore Hospital were concerned about her ability to maintain her own airway and made the decision to intubate her, which means putting a breathing tube down her throat into her lungs and placing her on a ventilator and sedating her.
Was she also what would be, I guess, referred to as hypothermic?
She was.
What does that mean?
Means that her body temperature was below what's considered normal. So in her case, her core body temperature was, I believe, 82.1 degrees, which would put her into severe hypothermia.
And did you note that she was tachycardic and hypotensive?
Yes.
What did that mean?
So it means that her heart rate was above 100, and hypotensive means that her blood pressure was below what is considered normal.
I am here in the nutrition center in South Sudan, witnessing children weak from ill.
And social hospital.
Jag ska säga då, när hon hoppade ut från det här fönstret då från andra våningen i deras hus, tänker jag, det var den 24 januari, så det var ju snö ute vid detta tillfället, och jag har även sett bilderna från den här platsen där hon låg. Det var väl ganska ändå högt med snö ute, och innan Patrick var ju iväg för att hämta mat på CVS och han inhandla mediciner till dottern, så hon låg ju där på marken en bra stund innan Patrick kom hem. Så hennes kroppstemperatur var ju långt under medel, så hon var ju hypothermic.
Were they able to stabilize her?
Eller hade
It sounds like they were able to stabilize her by placing a breathing tube in her neck, in her throat, to help with her breathing. And then they basically proceeded to obtain a bunch of imaging, started her on medications to sedate her and artificially raise her blood pressure. They started working on rewarming her, and then in conjunction with the trauma team there, they made the decision that she would be better served at a hospital with a higher level of care.
Okay. And can you tell us what the injuries were that she presented herself with to the South Shore Hospital?
So there were multiple injuries. She had lacerations to bilateral wrists.
When you say lateral, what does that mean?
Bilateral, both sides. So she had a laceration both to her left wrist and to her right wrist, and then multiple superficial lacerations as well. And then she also had multiple superficial lacerations to both sides of her neck, the front of her neck, and two deeper lacerations to the sides of her neck.
So when you say superficial
Efter hon hade avlivat barnen i källaren, så och innan hon hoppar ut genom det här fönstret, så krossar hon en del mediciner, intar det. Hon tar även en kniv och försöker skära sig själv med, eller hon skär sig själv med kniven över kroppen, på armarna och runt halsen. Så inte, hon försökte inte bara liksom att ta livet av sig själv genom att hoppa ut genom fönstret, utan hon försökte även skära sig själv. De flesta utav de här skadorna var väldigt ytliga, men det var några som var djupa, och det var de kring halsen.
lacerations and then deeper lacerations? Do you recall what's the standard? What do you look for in something like that?
So it's tough. Everybody will describe them a little bit differently. In her case, I would describe multiple superficial lacerations, which would typically mean kind of scrapes on the surface of the skin, nothing that actually gets through the full thickness of the skin. And then she also had full thickness lacerations, meaning that she made it all the way through the skin into the subcutaneous tissue, the fatty tissue. And then you would need to describe it further if any additional structures were injured, which in her case they were not.
Now, in your experience for a number of years in the emergency room, have you had occasion to treat people that have tried to commit suicide or successfully committed suicide by cutting their throat?
Multiple times.
Multiple times. And can you tell us, in your opinion, to a reasonable degree of medical certainty, sir, as to whether or not this injury or these injuries that you observed were consistent with what you've seen in other suicide attempts?
Sustained.
Well, Well, can you tell us, did that look like an effort to pretend or fake a suicide?
Sustained.
Well, when you looked at the injuries, did you make a determination that they appeared to have some impact on the human body of Ms. Clancy?
Yes.
What was that?
They were consistent with self-injurious behavior. The intent, I can't gauge, but...
Anything further?
Okay. Yep, thank you. How about the wrist? What did you observe about the wrist injuries, sir?
So she had 2 full-thickness lacerations, one on the left and one on the right.
What does that mean?
Means that she made it all the way through the epidermis and the dermis, which is what makes up the skin in the wrist, and into the fatty tissue, which is the next layer.
Okay. Are you familiar in your experience, sir, with hesitation wounds in a suicide attempt?
Yes, to some extent.
What does that mean?
Means typically that they're more kind of subtle, weaker attempts to hurt yourself, not necessarily anything that's going to be deep to the structures of the skin, but more just scrapes along the surface.
Okay, and you noticed some of those on the neck area as well, is that correct?
There are multiple of those on both the neck and the wrists.
As it relates to the injuries to the wrists, did you observe any vascular structures or penetration of the cervical, the fascia?
There was not.
Okay. What other injuries did you recall from reviewing the medical records?
So she also had multiple fractures in her cervical spine, which are the vertebrae that make up her neck, including what's called a burst fracture of C1, and then other fractures of C4. She also had fractures of multiple levels of the thoracic spine. I believe she had multiple transverse process fractures on both the right and left.
What does that mean, transverse fractures?
Transverse processes are lateral projections, basically projections that go sideways off of the bone that allow the ribs to articulate, connect with the spine, and they also allow muscles to connect, and they help support the basically overall ring structure of the spinal canal.
And was she then transported by med flight or life flight to a Boston hospital?
She was.
What does that tell you as an emergency surgeon when someone's transported by med flight or life flight?
Typically means that her injuries are felt to be severe enough that she needs immediate intervention and further treatment, that the hospital that is basically necessitating the transport is saying that they cannot provide at their facility.
She was then transported to what hospital?
Brigham and Women's Hospital in Boston.
She was admitted to what unit?
Surgical ICU.
And you had a chance to review all those medical records as well?
I did.
Did she suffer a particular event that night that you recall from looking at the records?
She did shortly after arriving in the surgical ICU. It sounds like they were moving her, and when they moved her, they noticed that her blood pressure dropped, her pulse became faint, and subsequently she actually suffered a complete cardiac arrest and required two.
Jag kan kolla till dig. Detta är ju en YouTube-kanal som har, alltså det är ju så långa pauser här emellan de här. Vilken var det jag tog? Det var denna här. Denna här, alltså som till exempel igår var det ju dag 14 i den här rättegången. Och den här heter Associated Press. Står där. Så den har ju då komprimerat hela rättegången till att bara ta med just när vittnena är uppe. Så den var faktiskt bra, för de här livesen, alltså de har ju jättelånga pauser emellan, och du vet när de går upp till sidebar och sånt. Så får man vänta jättelänge på att det drar igång igen. Så jag tyckte faktiskt den var bra. Så Associated Press heter den. Jag ska säga det också att vill ni fortsätta titta på rättegångsförhandlingarna som är idag, så startar det klockan 15. Och jag ska säga det också att om där är några riktigt så här intressanta vittnen som det var igår nu, här vi tittar på idag, så kommer jag spela upp det imorgon på förmiddagen, precis som jag har gjort idag. Men det beror på om där är några intressanta vittnen som ska vittna idag. Men just det, jag ska kanske säga det också att vill ni titta på det här live så kan ni ju bara skriva Lindcay Clancy live court TV. Och sen så är det ju jättemånga crime-tiktokare som också sänder detta live på självaste TikTok, och även CBS News brukar jag titta igenom till exempel här på TikTok då. Så vet ni det, men det startar klockan 15 svensk tid idag.
Rounds of cardiopulmonary resuscitation with compressions and medications before she was able to be revived.
And she also, to your knowledge, had suffered significant hemorrhage and had to have a fairly massive blood transfusion?
Yes, they placed chest tubes, which are basically plastic tubes that go into the chest cavity on both sides, and had about 300 cc's of blood come out from each side. And there was also noted to be significant hemorrhage around the spine and into the mediastinum, which is the portion of the chest that houses a lot of the organs like your esophagus, your trachea, blood vessels, that kind of thing.
Now, if there's a fracture, a serious fracture to, I believe it's C1, does that interfere possibly with a person's ability to breathe?
It does.
How does that work?
So if you have a fracture that affects the spinal cord above a certain level, typically above the third cervical vertebrae, it basically removes your ability to initiate breathing on your own. Your third, fourth, and fifth cervical vertebrae, the nerves that lead from there, are the ones that are responsible for telling your diaphragm to go up and down and help you breathe. And so if you lose the ability to send that signal down to your diaphragm, you lose the ability to breathe.
Now,
Upptäck nya favoriter och laga middagar alla ser fram emot. Ikväll äter vi tillsammans. Inget slår hemlagat.
Och så en till.
as it relates to your review of the medical records and review of the history, are you aware of the mechanism of the injuries that she suffered that you just described for the jury?
I am.
Tell us what that was, to your knowledge.
That she went out of her second-story window.
And going out of the window, obviously, did she strike the ground, or?
She did.
And that caused the injuries, the mechanism of injury?
Yes, it's consistent with all of her injuries.
Now, with your experience, sir, with, as you indicated, dealing with people in the emergency room and treating people that have been involved with sequential acts of self-harm, do you have an opinion to a reasonable degree of medical certainty as an emergency board-certified physician as to the effect of the combination of the multiple sequential injuries that you saw?
Can I see Counsel Sidebar? Just
I can withdraw it, Judge. I'll withdraw it. Just thank you very much.
No questions.
all right. Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you.
Så, det var allt för idag. Ja, väldigt... det känns ju väldigt fel att säga spännande, men... ja. Och få höra i alla fall mamman och systern. Ja, det är intressant så. Så kan man säga det. Det låter så fel att säga spännande när man ska liksom referera då till hennes liksom familjemedlemmar som har varit med om det här fruktansvärda och fått sina barnbarn ja, borttagna från sig liksom. Men vad tänkte jag? Nej, men som sagt, rättegången startar ju då klockan 15 idag. Är det någon som är alltså så här, verkligen intressant att lyssna på, så kommer jag spela upp det imorgon förmiddag, samma tid. Imorgon så kan vi lyssna tillsammans. Så hemskt att mamma blev så pressad. Det gjorde hon inte så. Ja, jag vet. Det är jättetungt att lyssna på såna här. Man blir helt... som jag sa innan i liven i morse, att det är så himla svårt att ta in såna här hemska saker. Man kan inte riktigt liksom sätta... Alltså, jag kan inte förstå. Jag kan inte förstå hur en människa kan bara göra en sån sak. Jag fattar inte det. Men ja. Tack själv Ragnar för du ville vara här och lyssna. Tänk också liksom att vara de här föräldrarna och sitta i en sån här rättegång och behöva med vetskapen om också hur stort det här har blivit liksom i media och sitta och vittna. Fy fan. Jag kan aldrig sätta mig in i den känslan. Nej, men jag ska stänga ner. Tack så jättemycket för att ni var här och ville lyssna och tack för till er som har hjälpt till att likea liven. Jag har en plan i framtiden, eller nu kanske här framöver, att jag funderar på att jag ska köpa liksom en riktig dator. En riktig sån här, ni vet, hederlig dator. Ett datorhus med en skärm. Och så, alltså, min önskan är ju att sitta där och lajva därifrån. Ja, jag ska göra det. Jag ringer dig senare. Och sitta och lajva ifrån en riktig data så att, för att du vet när man sitter så här och visar en annan skärm som jag gör där. Man får ju inte lov att göra det av TikTok för då får man de här jävla varningarna hela tiden och så kommer man inte ut på For You. Och sen stänger de av ens presenter, inte för att jag bryr mig om det, men det handlar ju om det här att man såklart vill att ens live kommer ut på For You så att andra också kan se den och ser att man är live liksom. Så jag tänker att jag ska försöka lösa en sådan så att jag kan sitta vid en riktig data och livea. Och ha de här programmen, vad är det nu de heter? Jag kommer inte ihåg vad fan de heter. Man måste ju ha ett särskilt program för att kunna då visa, alltså när jag tar upp en skärm på datorn så att ni också, vi ser samma sak liksom. Då får man inte de här